Hi, I'm Lori, and today I'm going to demonstrate an Ohio CDL Pre Trip Inspection on a conventional style bus. You will have 30 minutes to complete this portion of your test. At the beginning, you may tell the examiner when I go through and I say something is properly secured, I mean with nuts, bolts, screws, or clamps. As you're going through this pre-trip, you must point to something that you cannot reach, and you must touch something that you can. As I approach the bus, I'm looking at it to make sure it's not leaning from one side to the other, which could be a flat tire or a broken spring. I do not see any puddles of fuel, oil, or coolant underneath the front of the bus. I'm looking around the bus to make sure that there are no hazards, such as people, cars, tree branches, low wires, around or underneath the bus. My reflective tape is in place. It is not ripped or torn. My 3 amber clearance lights, my 2 amber and 2 red student warning lights, my amber turn signal and 4-way bulbs, my clear headlamp bulbs are all properly secured, not broken or missing, and they are clean. The reflectors are also not broken or missing. My hood latch on this side is secured to the bus. It is not ripped or torn. This hood latch I will inspect the same way as I did on the other side. My hood is not cracked or broken. It is properly secured to the hinge. The hinge is not bent or twisted, and it is properly secured to the frame. I see no moisture on the top of my engine. My transmission and oil dipsticks should read between add and full. I would check my transmission fluid weekly on a warm engine, usually post-trip. My oil is checked daily on a cold engine. None of my hoses are bulging, leaking, cut, or kinked. My air lines go down to the air compressor, which sits inside the frame rail. The air compressor is not cracked or leaking air or oil. It is properly secured to the engine. It is gear driven. Its lines are properly secured. The power steering pump is bolted to the engine. It is gear driven. It is not leaking power steering fluid. My steering shaft is not bent or twisted. It has no more than 2-inch play. U-joint is tight, not slinging grease. My power steering fluid is between add and full. Cap is tight, and I see no leaks. My gearbox is bolted to the frame. It is not cracked or leaking oil. My pitman arm, drag link, upper and lower steering arms, and tie rod are all properly secured with castle nuts and cotter pins. None of those parts are bent or twisted. There is nothing wrapped around them. My front and rear suspension mounts are bolted to the frame. They are not cracked, loose, or missing. My leaf springs are not cracked, shifted, or missing. They are secure with 2 U-bolts and 4 nuts. The U-bolts are not loose or missing. My shock absorber top and bottom mounts are properly secured. The shock is not bent, twisted, or leaking. My air line for the brakes is not bulging, leaking, cut, or kinked. Brake chamber is not cracked or dented. It is secured to the wheel. The slack adjuster and push rod are not bent or twisted, and they are secure with a clevis lock nut and pin that can also be called a lock nut. With the brake set, they should be at a slight 90-degree angle. With the brake released, I should not be able to pull the push rod more than 1 inch. I'm going to look through the sight hole on the backing plate to make sure that my brake lining is not worn dangerously thin. I also see no grease or oil inside. My inner and outer sidewalls have no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. The front tire tread should be no less than 4/32 and wearing evenly. There can also be no recaps. My rim has no cracks, dents, or illegal welds. All of my lug nuts and bolts are present and tight. There are no rust trails or shiny threads that would indicate looseness. The hub oil seal cap is not leaking. There's no puddle on the rim or spray pattern on the wheel. My valve stem is centered on the rim. Its metal cap is tight. It is not leaking. I would check the tire pressure with a gauge, but I don't have one, so I will visually inspect for a low or flat tire. Now I go to the other side of the engine. My coolant is between add and full. The cap is tight and the container is not leaking. My alternator and water pump are bolted to the engine. They are belt driven. The alternator's wires are not bare, broken, or frayed. The water pump is not leaking water. The serpentine belt is not cut, frayed, worn, or missing. It has no more than 1/2 to 3/4 inch play when pushed on. I would check my suspension, brakes, tires, and wheels the same on this side as I did the other. This hood latch secures the hood. My mirror brackets are all secured to the bus, and none of my mirrors are broken or missing. They are clean. My stop sign is secured to the bracket. Bracket is secured to the bus. The 4 red lenses are not broken or missing, and they are secured to the stop sign. The retraction cable is not broken or missing. The airbag is not leaking. Any wires are not bare, broken, or frayed. My amber turn signal in 4-way. My amber front, center, and red rear clearance light. And my amber center and red rear reflectors are all properly secured to the bus, clean, and not broken or missing. My windows, none of them are broken or missing. They are secure in their frames. Frames are secured to the bus. Underneath the bus, my frame, cross members, and floor are not bent or twisted. There is no rust that would indicate a hole. The drive shaft, the 3 long parts are not bent or twisted. Their U-joints are tight, right here. The U-joints are tight and not slinging grease. They are secure with brackets or carrier bearings, either one, to the frame. There's nothing wrapped around it. The exhaust goes from the engine to the tailpipe. It is not bent or twisted. Its joints are tight. It is secure with brackets to the frame, and there is no rust or soot that could indicate a hole. Here, I'll take it for a second. Back here, the brake chamber, slack adjuster and push rod, air lines, brake drum and lining can all be checked the same in the rear as you did in the front. You just have to name your parts. Suspension parts. My torque spring is not cracked, shifted, or missing. This rear suspension mount is bolted to the frame, not loose, broken, or missing. There are 2 U-bolts secured with 4 nuts. The U-bolts are not broken, loose, or missing. There is no debris between the bud wheels. Oh. Whoa. I gotta edit that part out. Okay, back here, my tires should be between, my tires should not be less than 2/32 tread depth. The inner and outer treads are wearing evenly. The inner and outer sidewalls of both tires show no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. My rims have no cracks, dents, or illegal welds. All of my lug nuts and bolts are present and tight. There are no rust trails or shiny threads that would indicate looseness. My axle seal is not leaking. Puddle on the rim or splash pattern on the wheel would indicate a leak. I will show you the airbags in the back. The shock absorbers are in there also. They are upper and lower mounts are bolted to the frame. The shock absorber is not twisted, bent, or leaking. The rear mud flap is properly secured to the bus. It is not ripped or torn. Coming to the back of the bus. My 3 red clearance lights, my 2 amber and 2 red student warning lights, my 2 amber turn signal 4-ways, my 4 red tail light brake lights, my 4 clear reverse lights, and my 2 red reflectors. They are all clean, properly secured to the bus, and not broken or missing. None of my windows are broken or missing. Their seals are not torn or ripped and show no signs of leaks. My emergency tape, my reflective tape, is in place, not ripped or torn. I missed the reflective tape on the side of the bus, and it is also not ripped or torn. If by chance you do that when you're going through your pre-trip inspection examination, if you catch it, you can put it in. When I lift the handle, my lights and buzzer should come on. Door opens easily. The hinges and the bar are not bent or twisted. Door seals are not ripped or torn. They show no signs of leaks. There are no trip hazards on the floor. When I close the handle, lights and buzzer go off. Underneath the bus, the fuel tank is in its cage. The cage is bolted to the frame, and I do not see or smell any fuel leaks. Come around to this side of the bus. The fuel door is secured to the bus with its hinge, moving smoothly. Fuel cap is tight. I do not see or smell any leaks. On this side of the bus, I will check my lights, my windows, my tires, my wheels, my brakes, my suspension, and underneath, the same on this side as I did on the other. Go ahead in front of me. And get me coming in. Shouldn't have done that. I probably could have used the whole footage, huh? Okay, as I'm coming in the bus, I'm going to grab my doors. The hinges are not bent or twisted. The doors are moving smoothly. My door seals are not ripped or torn. They show no signs of leaks. My windows are not cracked or missing. They're in their seal. The seals are not torn or missing. My handrails are not broken or missing. They are properly secured. My step light lens, the clear step light lens, is properly secured. It is clean and not broken or missing. My step treads are screwed to the floor. There are no trip hazards. As I come in, I have my first aid kit. It is fully stocked and secured to the bus. The 5-pound ABC rated fire extinguisher is fully charged with the needle in the green. It is secure in its bracket. Bracket is secured to the bus. Up here, I have the body fluid kit. It is secure in the compartment and fully stocked. My road kit contains 3 reflective triangles and 6 flares, also properly secured. Sit in the seat. My windshield has no illegal stickers or obstructions. There are no cracks. My wiper blades are flat against the windshield. They are not ripped or torn. All 7 of my mirrors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, are adjusted for me. And my student mirror is secure in its bracket. Bracket secured to the bus, and it is not broken or missing. Key out of my pocket. I'm going to put the key in the ignition, and I'm going to turn it to run. My ABS light comes on and goes off, and all of my gauges reset. I have enough air to do my CDL brake test. I'm on level ground, and I can see I will not roll. When I release my parking brake, I'm going to watch my gauge. I should not lose more than 2 psi in 1 minute, starting now. At this point, you will gauge it with a watch and watch your watch and look back and forth between the gauge and your watch and wait for the examiner to tell you to move on. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next step. For the second step, I'm going to apply firm pressure to the service brake. Again, once the gauge stabilizes, I will time it for 1 minute for no more than 3 psi, psi loss starting now. Back and forth from watch to gauge. They may or may not make you wait 30 seconds. Usually they don't. It's usually about 15. Okay, going to go to the next step. For the next 2 steps, I'm going to pump the brake down. My low air warning lights and buzzer should come on at or above 60 psi. Tell the examiner when it comes on. And I'm going to continue to pump, and my parking brake should set automatically between 20 and 40 psi. Came on about 75. And it set about 30. I'm going to start the engine to rebuild the air. Straightening out my wheel so I can see my gauges. At normal operating RPMs of 1500, the air pressure should rise from 85 to 100 within 45 seconds. I will start to time it when it reaches 85. Now I'm going to rev it up to 1500 and hold it as close to 1500 as I can. I'm going to watch my gauge, and I'm going to tell the examiner when my brake light and buzzer go off. I'm sorry, brake air light. Some buses just say brake. Some buses will say brake air. Okay, my brake air light went off about 80. I'm at 85 timing. Okay, it has reached 100 within the time limit. Now I'm going to start with gauges and switches. Put on my headlights, my dashboard lights up. I'm going to come over here, I'm going to activate my amber student warning lights. My indicator light is right here, that's what I'm looking for. It is on. When I open my door, it switches to red, my stop sign comes out, and the red lights flash outside. I'm going to close my door. When I hit high, low on all these heater and fan switches, everything comes on and works on high and low. Okay, over here my headlights are on, I did that. Left turn signal on the dash, right turn signal on the dash, 4-ways on the dash, high beam light on the dash. Okay. My oil pressure should read between 30 and 50. My air compressor just reached its cutoff of 125. My water temperature is rising, but not above 220. My RPM gauge is working. My volts would read in here between 12 and 14. My speedometer worked on the way over. I have enough fuel for the trip. My DEF gauge is reading 4 green lights. No more than 2 inches of play on a 20-inch wheel. Horn works. I'm going to step on the brake, go to reverse. Beeper is sounding. I'm going to run it all the way through down to the gears. Back up to drive. I hear no unusual engine noises. Now I'm going to tug against the parking brake. Bus does not move. It does not lurch forward. Now I'm going to test the service brake. I'm going to pull forward at about anywhere up to 5 miles an hour, and I'm going to come to a stop. Okay, parking brake is working. I did not feel it pull to the left or the right. Reset the brake, go back to neutral. Over here I have the defroster and driver's heat. It works on all levels, and my noise switch is working. Okay, turn that off. I'm going to shut the bus off. At this point, you're going to ask the examiner to go outside and help you to make sure that all of your lights are working on the outside. Okay, they will exit the door. Open the door to let them out. They're going to come and they're going to stand at the front of the bus. You're going to close the door after they are out. To do this portion of it, you yell out the window. Clearance lights, front and left. They'll give you a thumbs up or say okay. Amber student warning lights. Okay. Red student warning lights and stop sign. Open the door. Do not use the override switch. Okay. Close it. Right turn signal. Left turn signal. Front and side. 4 ways. Front and side. By doing that, including the front and the side together, they do not have to stop on the left side of the bus. Please go to the rear of the bus now. Okay, start at the top. Clearance lights. Okay. Amber student warning lights. I'm yelling so that it's just to demonstrate that they're behind you and have to hear you. Okay? Red student warning lights and stop sign. Okay, close the door. Left turn signal. Right turn signal. 4 ways. Tail lights. Brake lights. Please come to the right side of the bus. They're going to come up. When they get to about the second window, you want to open your door and wait for them to get to the doorway. Okay, you're going to tell them clearance lights, right turn signal, 4 ways, step light. Okay, they're all in. Shut the bus off. Turn the headlights off. Now do your walk back. You can take the key back out of the ignition at this point if you would like to, but you do not have to. Okay, you're going to check your seats. Check the seat bottoms. The seat bottoms are latched to the frames. The frames are properly secured to the bus. I'm going to open this lever here on this first emergency exit. Push it open. Lights and buzzer come on when I lift the handle. When I close the handle, lights and buzzer go off. I will check my other exits the same. I have 4 window. On my roof hatch, I will turn this lever to where it says to follow the arrow. When I turn this lever, light and buzzer should come on. You do not have to demonstrate this, but you do have to explain it. I would check my rear hatch the same way. Continue back checking the seats. I'm feeling on the floor for soft spots. That could be a hole. Continuing back, checking seats. When I get to the rear door, I lift the handle. Lights and buzzer come on. Door opens easily. When I close the lever, lights and buzzer go off. That completes an Ohio CDL Pre Trip Inspection. For the Ohio Department of Education Pre Trip Inspection, there are 30 some more parts that we will add to that on another video. Thanks, have a great day, and I hope it helps.